At first it was cute. My girlfriend talked in her sleep, and the nonsense she spouted was always good for a laugh the next morning. The sky is folding. Or, we need to raise the ground. I never knew what she meant, and neither did she. We had our routine, cuddling at first, then rolling to our sides back to back as the night grew too warm. She always fell asleep before I did, leaving me to listen to her drowsy ramblings. It became something I looked forward to, but not anymore. Not after last night. I was up late reading, the soft glow of my booklight the only thing illuminating our room. Around 11 p.m., I heard her murmur something behind me. I paused, listening, but the words were too faint to make out. I glanced over my shoulder. Her face was peaceful, her breathing slow, just another harmless whisper in the night. I returned to my book. At some point, exhaustion won, and I drifted off. Then I woke up. The first thing I registered was her voice, clear, too loud. My eyes fluttered open, adjusting to the dim light. We were face to face. I hadn't fallen asleep like this. Her eyes were open, wide open, too wide. She was staring at me. No, through me, like I was nothing but empty space. Her pupils were dilated so much her irises were swallowed in black. I gasped, my pulse spiking. She didn't blink. Slowly I pulled back the covers, my body tense, every muscle screaming at me to run. But as I moved, her eyes tracked me, like a predator watching its prey. Her body stayed unnaturally still, except for those eyes. And then, in a voice that wasn't hers, lower, guttural, dripping with something unnatural, she whispered, "Come back to bed, dearie." Dearie. She's never called me that before, not once. A chill ran down my spine. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice to stay even. "Are you awake, sweetie?" No response. She blinked once, and her gaze snapped from me to the walls, the ceiling, the door. Searching. I took a cautious step away, my bare feet cold against the floor. That's when her eyes rolled back. All at once, her pupils vanished, leaving nothing but white. Her lips curled into something that might have been a grin if it weren't so wrong. "Of course I'm awake," she cooed, her voice both familiar and alien. Her fingers drummed against the comforter in an erratic pattern, twitching, curling, wrong. My stomach twisted. Her hands looked off. The fingers stretched too far in different directions, like they were figuring out how to move. I forced a smile. "I'm going to grab some water, babe. Be right back. Want anything?" I was already planning to run the second I was over the threshold. But then, in that same, too deep, inhuman voice, she spoke again, slow, deliberate. "Take one step out of that door, and I will rip out your throat and shit down your neck." The room shrank around me, my ears buzzed with static. I tried to keep my cool, to act normal. "Don't show fear. Don't let it know." I stammered. "As interesting an offer as that is, I think I'm going to—" She moved. No one lunged. A horrifying, inhuman scream tore through her throat, high-pitched and sharp, vibrating the air like a dying bird's last shriek. Her limbs convulsed, fingers splaying in every direction, reaching, grabbing. Not quite right, not quite human. My survival instincts kicked in. In a blind panic, I grabbed the nearest thing, my water bottle, fumbled with the cap, and threw the entire thing on her. The moment the water hit her, she collapsed, like a puppet whose strings had been cut. Her body went limp. Her eyes fluttered shut. Back to sleep. My hands were shaking. My breath came in ragged gasps. My heart pounded in my ears. I stood there for what felt like hours, staring at her still form, waiting for something, anything, to happen. But she didn't move again. I backed out of the room slowly, never taking my eyes off her. I'm sleeping on the couch. Maybe forever. She'll understand when she wakes up. At least I hope it'll be her that wakes up.